everybody. I'm Johnny, and this is my brother James.
Hello.
And welcome to another episode of Alien Trappers. We're all quarantined now, so I hope everybody's out there staying safe, washing your hands, and social distancing, because that's very important.
Stay safe.
Stay safe, everybody. But social distancing is very important right now. How close are we?
It's 6 feet. We're 6 feet.
We're 6 feet apart. The camera adds a few inches. It makes it look like we're closer. But trust me, we're 6 feet apart right now.
We're good.
During this whole quarantine time, I've had a lot of time to sit and watch movies. And I recently rewatched Star Wars. And I know that there's a lot of talk out there about Mandela Effect.
I've never watched it.
You've never watched Star Wars.
Nope.
All right, but here's the thing. Even though you've never watched Star Wars, I'm guaranteed... Charlie!
Hush up!
That's Charlie. Even though you've never watched Star Wars, I guarantee you there's one line in the movie that you know for a fact.
Hey, we're going down.
No, that's not it. I recently saw that there's a brand new Star Wars Mandela Effect, which I'm going to explain that new example in a moment, but first I know there's people out there that have not heard of the Mandela Effect. So I want to give a few examples of what the Mandela Effect is before I get into the brand new Star Wars example. The big one for me is the Berenstain Bears. I remember vividly as a kid wondering, do I pronounce this Berenstain or Berenstain? Because I know that it was spelled S-T-E-I-N. Do you remember the Berenstain Bears?
The classic novels that they had. Now, I vividly remember asking myself, why are we reading about these Jewish bears?
Why are we reading about these Jewish bears?
And it turns out they're non-denominational.
Exactly. They're non-denominational now, but I remember asking my parents, do I pronounce this Stein or do I pronounce this Stain?
I remember asking my parents the same thing.
We have the same parents.
We talked to the same people about this.
But now it's not even an issue, because if you look at any Berenstain books now, it's spelled S-T-A-I-N. The whole S-T-E-I-N thing, it's not even a thing. It never was. But I remember it, and thousands of other people remember the same thing.
Millions.
Another example of the Mandela Effect is Snow White. Many of you remember the movie Snow White, the book Snow White, and you remember the evil queen. She had a mirror that she always spoke into. And what did she tell that mirror?
She always said, oh, look at my hair. How's my hair look?
That's not what she said at all.
Oh, I don't know.
That's not what she said. She always said, mirror, mirror on the wall. Go back and watch the movie now. She doesn't say mirror, mirror on the wall. You know what she says? She says, magic mirror on the wall.
What wouldst thou know, my queen?
Magic mirror on the wall, who is the fairest one of all?
I mean, you know that said mirror, mirror on the wall. So when did it change to magic mirror on the wall?
Well, that ain't right.
That's not right. Other examples of the Mandela Effect include the convertible that John F. Kennedy was riding in when he was assassinated. I remember the convertible only having 2 rows of seats. If you look at any photographic or video evidence now, the convertible had 3 rows of seats. I don't remember that being the case. I mean, I wasn't alive then, but...
You sure you don't remember?
I wasn't alive. I remember history class.
You remember?
And watching documentaries on TV.
Where were you at November 22nd, 1963? Where were you?
I wasn't there. I was,
You're not gonna fool me, man.
I think our father was 18 years old at the time.
Damn it.
We were not born then.
All right.
But there's now 3 rows of seats if you look at any video now.
Play
3
pro
rows.
hot shot.
The Mandela Effect got its namesake due to the fact that there are numerous people that remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in 1990. But as it turns out, he was released from prison and didn't die until 2013. So how did this happen? Why do so many people that have never met each other have the exact same wrong memory? Some theorists have speculated that the largest machine in the world, which is known as the Large Hadron Collider, which is a particle accelerator in Europe, somehow created a black hole. And once that black hole was created, the timeline that we were on shifted into a parallel alternate reality, which if we are in a different timeline, the timeline that we're in currently could explain why there are subtle differences in the things that we used to remember and the way things are now.
Perhaps the shifting timelines could explain the rise in mumble rappers and the Kardashians.
You might be onto
I'm
something.
on to it. I'm on to it now.
Because why were mumble rappers a thing?
Sounds like he has marbles in his mouth.
There are a ton of other Mandela Effect examples,
Millions.
but I'm going to go ahead and get into the Star Wars example because that's huge. If I were to ask any one of you watching right now to quote one line from the movie Star Wars, even those of you that are watching with limited knowledge of the movie would quote one of the most famous lines in all of movie history.
Dang, we're going down.
That's not the line at all, James, and you know it. One of the most famous lines in movie history from that movie is, "Luke, I am your father." You know without a doubt that Darth Vader said, "Luke, I am your father." But somehow it changed to, "No, I am your father." But being quarantined, I recently watched the movie again, and somehow that line, once again, has changed.
That ain't right.
It's not right. So let's go ahead and get into that. I'm going to show this clip and let me know what you think.
He told me you killed him. No. I'm the Pappy. No!
I'm the Pappy?
I know that ain't right. Show it again, man.
I'm the Pappy. I'm the Pappy. I'm the Pappy. I'm the Pappy.
Any fool here can see that that little baby belongs to me.
But that's not that movie.
It's not.
All these examples that we just gave are pretty trivial in the grand scheme of things. But if these little things have changed, perhaps some major events could have unfolded that played out completely different in this alternate timeline that we aren't even aware about.
Donald Trump is now president. In an alternate reality, maybe it's supposed to be Pat Sajak.
Pat Sajak.
Pat Sajak.
It's
Vanna,
possible.
spin that wheel.
It is possible that Pat Sajak should be president right now. So what do you think about the Mandela Effect? Do you guys have any other examples? Let us know what you think in the comments. And while you're here, click that subscribe button. We'll be back with another video soon. And thanks for watching.
Next, you're probably going to tell me Cheerios are gluten-free.
Cheerios are gluten-free.
What?